Things are going really well, she replied, even better than I expected. I thought things would be weird between us, but we just seemed to click. That's great, Shayla. I couldn't help it. There was no mistaking the disappointment in my voice, and Shayla gave me a look that told me she hadn't missed it. What's your problem? My head reared back at the venom in her voice. That was the first time she'd ever spoken to me that way. I'm sorry, I said, backtracking. But Shayla, how can you forget what he did? He wasn't here 5 minutes before he destroyed my life. Don't you think you're exaggerating just a little bit? He didn't destroy your life. He thought he was helping everyone, bringing everything out into the open so there would be no more secrets. I laughed, the sound bitter and annoyed. Helping? You don't seriously believe that, do you? That doesn't even make sense. I didn't know what was happening. We were both getting angry, so angry that Shayla's face was red, and I could feel my own blood pressure rising, pounding in my veins. She was my best friend, and she always had my back. Until now. I knew Puck was her grandfather, but he'd been missing her entire life. And what, he got to just waltz in and take his place as a beloved family member with no questions asked? You don't know him, she gritted out between clenched teeth. Neither do you, I shouted back. You don't know what his motives are. You don't know why he came back here, at this moment in time, and decided to suddenly be the doting grandfather. To me, it looks like he's up to his old tricks. As soon as the words passed my lips, I regretted them. Shayla had been persecuted for her grandfather's choices her entire life, and I swore that I would never do that. While I wasn't exactly holding his past sins against her, I was holding them against him, letting his mistakes color my judgment of his current actions. While I felt justified in my suspicions, that didn't mean I should have voiced them in a fit of anger. Shayla, no, she said, her voice dead and her eyes vacant. You said everything you need to say. She stood then, turning to pick her bag up from the bed where she'd dropped it. She headed for the door, swinging it open. Just before she walked through, she stopped and turned back to face me. I'll find somewhere else to sleep tonight. I opened my mouth to respond, to beg her to stay and work things out with me. But she was gone before I could even get a word out. What had just happened? Did I just lose my best friend? Even if I hadn't lost her, something between us was broken. I just hoped eventually we would be able to mend it. The next morning, I woke up alone in my room. I don't know how many hours I waited, hoping Shayla would come back and tell me she wanted to talk things through with me, to bridge the gap between us. But that never happened. I sat up and hopped to my feet. I couldn't let things continue on the way they were between me and Shayla. I had to fix it. Even if it meant swallowing my pride, my anger with Puck, and my suspicions about his motives, I'd do whatever it took to get my relationship with her back on track. It was too important, too precious to lose. Grabbing a fresh uniform, I ran to the bathroom to shower and change. After combing the tangles from my wet hair and brushing my teeth, I stared into the mirror for a few moments, mentally building myself up. Somehow, I'd get Shayla to listen to me. I refused to lie about my feelings for Puck, but maybe we could just agree to disagree when it came to him. We could make some sort of pact to avoid discussing him or something. I knew that sort of avoidance would never work in the long run, but it would appease my friend and buy me some time. Once Puck's true agenda was revealed, I was sure whatever it was would get him ousted from Oberon Academy, just like before. Shayla would be disappointed, but she'd also realize she was better off without his sneaky, manipulative presence in her life. At least, I hoped that's how it would all play out. A small niggle of fear inside whispered that if I were the one to prove his deceit and get him banished, Shayla would hate me forever. I stiffened my spine against that fear. If that happened, so be it. At least I'd have the comfort of knowing that I'd protected the ones I love against his damaging influence. I practically ran back to my bedroom, eager to drop off my pajamas and toiletries so I could start the hunt for Shayla. I rushed inside, only to freeze in my tracks. Shayla stood in the middle of the room, biting her bottom lip and shifting her weight from foot to foot.